What's poppin'? What's poppin'? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of Life According to Rick. Episode 10. Wow, double digits. I honestly can't believe we're here. First off, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been rocking with me week after week. This podcast is something that started as something personal for me, and 10 episodes in, it's becoming something I really care about. Today, I want to reflect a little on the journey so far, on growth, and some real life stuff that's been happening behind the scenes. When I started this, I didn't have a master plan. I just knew I wanted to talk about life as it's happening, the good, the bad, the uncomfortable, all of it. And looking back from episode one to now, I could definitely hear the growth. I pause more, I reflect more, I'm more aware of myself. And that's what this podcast has really been about. One thing these episodes have taught me is that consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up even when life feels heavy. And life has definitely been super heavy lately, between work, trying to stay consistent with the gym, parenting a toddler, and just trying to be present at home. It's a lot. This past week, especially, reminded me of how quickly things can shift. My wife recently lost her job, and that really has opened my eyes even more to how little support there is for parents with young kids. A lot of jobs, they talk about, oh, like they could be flexible and they're understanding, but when real life happens, especially when it comes to kids, that understanding isn't always there. And that's tough because when you're a parent, we're not asking for special treatment. We're asking for basic grace. Our kids get sick, daycare, falls through. Life happens. And sometimes it feels like you're forced to choose between being a good employee and being a parent. And we know the obvious answer here. We're going to choose to be a parent because obviously, our kids come first and they need us. But also, we have to recognize, if we ain't got no job, bills can't get paid. And, it's a sucky situation, and it's very unfortunate that the society that we live in, these companies don't really understand or work with us as parents, as individuals, human beings, that have lives outside of our employment. It sucks, but that's the reality that we live in. And, unfortunately, it's one of those things where you kind of have to, you know, find a job that's willing to work with you because, we really don't have no other choice. Moments like that make you reflect. They make you slow down and ask yourself what really matters. And for me, it reinforced why I started this podcast to talk about the reality a lot of us are living, but don't always get to say out loud. Progress isn't about having everything figured out, it's about awareness. It's about catching yourself sooner. It's about learning, adjusting, and trying again the next day. That awareness has been huge for me as a parent, too. Harlem's in that stage right now where he gets big feelings, he's testing limits, pushing back, just being a kid trying to figure things out. And most days, my patience gets tested really hard. But I'm learning that growth doesn't mean I never lose my cool. It means I catch myself faster. I pause for a second And I remind myself he's still learning just as I am. And to kind of put things into retrospect with that, like before Harlem got into like school, he wasn't around other kids. So obviously, he was obviously a kid, he was still be a little menace or whatever, but it's not like how things are now. Like I feel like, him being around other kids and, you know, um, they're all around each other for like X amount of hours during the day, and things can get super out of control, a bunch of kids all together just, running amok and doing whatever. So he's kind of like picked up on certain habits, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like he's like I said, he's testing the waters, like he's testing boundaries, like he does certain things at home, and we tell him like, nah, you can't do that. We try to talk to him, and he says no, he throws himself on the floor, and it's just one of those things where I'm like, little boy, you better get your life, because we really not doing this. But I'm trying to be patient with him. I'm trying to understand him, you know. And even yesterday, there was a little incident at school where I had to actually go into the school and talk to him. I had to pull him out the classroom. And as much as I wanted to yoke his little behind up and be like, get your stuff together, I couldn't do that, you know what I'm saying? Because I know that his nervous system is already on 10. So, I kind of prepared myself mentally as I was driving to his school. And mind you, all of this is right before I had to go to work. So I'm like trying to prepare myself. So I go up to the school, I go into the classroom, and he's, be in Harlem, right? And so I pulled him outside of the classroom and I'm talking to him, and he's really not trying to listen to me. And I'm just being like patient with him, like, buddy, you gotta listen. We gotta use your listening ears. And he says to me, I have big feelings. So like I know already, like he's feeling something, but he doesn't know how to express it. So obviously, he's channeling those emotions that he's feeling into this behavior, right? So I know that he's still small, and I'm kind of like working with him to kind of see how I can help him navigate those feelings with him understanding me at his age. Because I know it's not like if I'm talking to you or somebody that's at of age where like I'm be like, yo, you can do this or whatever, and I'm giving advice and they take it and they apply it, right? With him is different. So I'm being understanding of that. So we're just gonna be working with him, and he's a smart kid, so he knows what he's doing. So he's trying to see what he can get away with, and we're trying to put a stop to that because we can't be allowing him to just run amok and acting wild out here. So it's a work in progress. I know I can't be the only one dealing with this, whether it's parenting, work stress, or just trying to hold everything together. If you've been in a season where life felt like it was hitting all at once, I want you to know that you're not alone. We got to understand that life is always going to come at us from different angles. You know, we just have to kind of realize like, am I going to fold, or am I tighten up and I'm going to go through this? You know what I'm saying? Like we have to learn to maneuver and navigate our way through life, because life can be tricky. You know what I'm saying? It can be very tricky. So don't give up. I know that sometimes giving up can be easy. Is a cop out, but that's not that's not what we're trying to do over here. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be all right. No matter what we're going through, things will get better. And I will say, especially, with the situation with my wife, like I've been kind of like learning to lean more on God, especially with my faith, I'm trying to rebuild that relationship with God and, kind of like casting my burdens onto him. And I know that he got us no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So whether you're a believer or not, you have to believe that things will be okay. 10 episodes in, I'm realizing this podcast isn't about having answers. It's about having conversations, honest conversations. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening, for supporting, and for being part of this journey with me. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep giving yourself grace. And remember, growth doesn't always look big, but it always counts. And always remember that no matter what, even if you feel like people aren't noticing it, just remind yourself that it's all about you, that this is all for you. The growth that we're doing is all for self, and eventually people will notice. So don't even worry about that. Just focus on what you're doing, keep pushing, and things will be good. You know what I'm saying? It'll be good. It'll be great. And I have no doubt in my mind that we're all gonna be okay. So I hope that everybody enjoyed this episode. I know it's a little short. I didn't want to keep it too much. I just wanted to do a little quick, simple reflection episode for the past 10 weeks. This is a big milestone, episode 10. Um, I'm just really excited. And I'm proud of the work that I'm doing. I could hear it in myself. The growth and everything for the past couple weeks or whatever. So, we're gonna keep pushing people. We're gonna get it right. So I hope that y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week, that y'all have a great weekend, and that y'all be safe. And I will catch you guys next time.